Hello, World of Tank Blizzards. It's a Littlefinger, and I've got a full tank review here on the T32, which is an American Tier 8 heavy tank. And this request was sent in from Mike from the Salty Clan. He is a patron, and I can see very quickly that if you don't know how to drive this tank, you are going to be very frustrated, might even rage sell it, because the gun is not very good. But if you can learn to play hold down, this tank will treat you really well. If we look at the tech tree here, you've just come from the M6 and the T29, both of these really great tanks, tech tree tanks at each of their tiers. T32 runs into problems because you don't have if we check out the gun that it comes with here, look at this, 178 mil of pen at tier 8. That is horrendous. Even moving up to the tier 8 105 millimeter gun with calibrated shells on, you're at 208. So we'll get into this here during this review. But let me just quickly run through how I've got it set up. Repair kit, multi-purpose, adrenaline, provisions. Now get this, I'm running case of cola, enhanced sandbag armor, gives us 111, and getting our total hit point pool over 2,000. That's huge. And I'll tell you why here in a second, and then improve fuel. And then equipment, running calibrated shells. You have to, because the pen on this gun is just god awful. Running defense system, and then improved optics, supercharge, improved assembly, which again is adding another 111 hit points to get us over 2,000. Engine accelerator, vertical stabilizer. Alright guys, here's blitzstars.com, and I'm comparing the tier 8 non-premium tanks, and what I want to point out here, damage per minute is right at 2,000, which looks pretty good when you compare it to the tanks, but keep in mind you've less than 200 pen. It's horrible. You're going to want to run calibrated shells, whereas all of these other tanks you can run a gun rammer. And then when we look at the DPM, you'll see we're close to the bottom here. So that is the biggest disadvantage, in my opinion, on this tank, is the penetration on this gun. But if you look at the weapon handling, you know, it's all right in line. You're going to be up close. Don't worry about this dispersion number. You need to be on the front line, and you need to be hull down, because you've got 10 degrees of gun depression. Whereas these other heavies, you can't use the hills. You have to use your armor. You've got 35 kilometers per hour as a top speed. Engine horsepower is okay. It does have about the highest power to weight ratio, so you're going to accelerate. You're going to get to top speed pretty quick. But again, what I want to point out as we move down here, 1850 at hit points. You're already at the top of the class in hit points, and this is why I do this. Your turret armor is 298. It blows away all of these other tanks. So if you come in here, if you use sandbags, and if you use the enhanced assembly, you're getting this hit point pool up over 2,000. Of course, this doesn't have sandbags, which adds another 100. So your hit point pool is huge compared to these other heavies. You can be on the front line, you can be hull down, and they're going to bounce shots all day long, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But again, it does pretty well on the 90-day average. So with that, we'll jump into some battles and pull up the armor inspector. Alright guys, so I wanted to show you just a short little clip here, because it really exemplifies the trouble you're going to find yourself in with the pen on this gun. We just missed that shot hitting the side of the rock, but you'll see the difficulty in penning the WZ here. Obviously he does have some good armor for a TD at this tier, but just watch the sequence of events, and like I said, we've got calibrated shells, and we've got supercharge, and obviously supercharge helps reduce that loss of pen over distance. So both of these things are working in our favor to help with the pen. And you can see there, this is a nice little hold down. Hela's, with all of these hills, is a great map for this tank. But, you know, just with that tank slightly angled, we're not going to pen him. with AP. You'll get a glimpse of the redness here in a second. I was trying to aim for the lower plate there, and just, the accuracy on this tank is not great. You're heavy. And we're at 200 meters, so switching over to APCR there, and you did see a good bit of red. So keep that in mind. You're going to have to run APCR a good bit, so you're not going to make a lot of credits in this tank. Alright, so you've had your warning about the pen. Now let's talk about the positives of this tank. We'll pull up Armor Inspector here, and this is with an IS-3 looking straight at you on a flat surface. Yep, a lot of green on the hull of that tank, and then obviously the sides and back of the turret. But if you get yourself into a hold down position where you're angled and you can use that 10 degrees of gun depression, just look at all that red. You're damn near impossible to pen in this tank. So keep that in mind here. And on Port Bay, obviously where the supremacy cap is, provides us a wonderful hold down position. And as we get into this position, I want you to just take a look during this game how much damage we end up blocking. So I was hoping there I might get a shot on any of the tanks that were trying to cross into the corner, and I'm a little bit slow getting up into position where that IS-5 is. He has no business being there. He does not have the gun depression, like 5 degrees I think, compared to our 10. So we are going to use this little bit of a ridge mound here on our left to help out. But look as we come over the hill, and there you get a good idea of the heat zones, where we can pen, where we can't. And now we're going to use our 10 degrees of gun depression and take our shot back down. There's the Waffenträger hitting the front turret. He can't pen. And we do get bounces in this tank, and like I said, you're going to shoot some APCR, and the tank just does not make a lot of money for a normal tech tree tank. But again, look at this. We're already at 1400 damage blocked. Basically, that is saving health for our team. Just watch this IS-5 run in on the IS-6, and he gets so frustrated because he can't pen him. But again, we're keeping our cool. We are staying in our nice hold down position. Hello CDC, not sure where you came from, but next time look where you're going. Obviously the game's getting out of control here, but the tank's got the accuracy here to shoot the side cheeks on the IS-6 there. And so yeah, we finished this game with 1400 damage blocked, 2300 in damage. And that's what this tank can do quite consistently. Obviously, as the way Blitz is these games, your game is dependent upon your team, but I find that I have more control if I'm on a front line and I am kind of pushing back the attack and getting help from my teammates. Seems to work out pretty well. I ran 10 games at 80% yesterday. So my advice to you with this tank is to avoid towns and anywhere flat where you are unable to hide the hull of your tank. And obviously Naval Frontier here, we're going to go right and we're going to go into those hills. And again, we're going to get kind of an advanced position and just do what we can to hold these tanks from pushing on us and letting them get into a strong position. I always like to turn my turret towards the opening of the middle here in case you've got anyone quick that runs through there. But here we go, hold down is getting us right on this hill using our 10 degrees of gun depression and taking our shot and backing up. This tank's got a huge gun mantlet. And it is just so difficult to pen. And I think by now at Tier 8, you guys should have played enough matches to know where these places are on the maps. Um, and for the most part, the cities, I think battles are more fought in the medium and the light side of the maps, which is typically where you'll find the hills. So it does play quite nicely right now on the current meta. And you can see we're being a little bit aggressive here. We're pulling up over the hill, exposing that hole. But that 252U, I mean, he's loaded. He's not even gonna bother shooting at us. It's just he can't pen. So we'll come over here. Like I said, he is loaded. I knew he was loaded, but at this point we've got a 3-tank advantage, and wanted to get into a situation where I'm doing more damage. And just look at this. I mean, the 252U, for a great of a tank as it is not a great face-hugging tank, because even though those cupolas are quite small, they are fairly easy to hit, and they do penetrate pretty easily. So keep that in mind as well, especially if you're playing the 252U quite a bit. And I think part of that is because obviously the tank is so much lower than all the other tanks. And there you get an example of just our accuracy on the move. Not great. HE. This one's more of my fault. He backed up and I get the tracks. So yeah, we're going to take some damage because of that. But we do get a kill here. And again, very similar numbers to the last game. We've got 1,400 damage blocked. And just under 3k in damage there. So again, this tank is all about finding those spots on the map where you can be effective hold down, and it's a beast. But the caveat is you have to use APCR. You're not going to make a lot of money in this tank. Make sure that you have enough free EXP to jump over the 90mm gun and go straight to the 105. But a wonderful tank if used well. And hopefully that helps you out, guys, with the play style of this tank. And of course, have fun out there. Stay safe, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.